America, and welcome to Invent America, because America invents.
This episode of Invent America TV is brought to you by America's Inventor Lady and Home Talk USA. Home Talk is a proud member of the King's Broadcasting Network and has been bringing to you the best of America's home-based product innovation since 1998. This segment of Invent America TV is brought to you by the law offices of R.P. Baraska. RPB law offices have been bringing corporate-level legal expertise to the independent inventor community for more than 20 years. For all your inventing legal needs, trust rpblawoffices.com.
Welcome, America. That's right. This is the Invent America show right here on Invent America Radio. We want to welcome all of you that's tuning in from Home Talk USA. I am the Cajun contractor, Michael King. I am the originator, not the duplicator. Please don't accept no substitution. Hey, I want to put that big station, WDOC 1310 AM in Prestonburg, Kentucky. That's tuning in right now. And I want to welcome all of you. But hey, asking, saying, hey, where's the inventor lady at? Well, she's here, right here, waiting to come on. The co-host of the show, my partner in crime, the inventor lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. Rita, how you doing, darling?
I'm just, doing fine. It's a great day in the neighborhood, and, we're working like crazy. So, yay.
Well, when you do a weekly show, like a weekend show, when you're on the air every day, it's just hard to get content. But, man, there's so much information that happens during the week. The time we, broadcast the show on a Saturday, that's when we live. A lot of things change, a lot of information out there, and things are starting to, we have to report on all these information. But and I know you want to talk about right now is a real good subject that you want to discuss, but is how do you know that I guess I don't know, nice way of saying it, that you are it, or you're not as bad as you're not as good as you think you are, but you're not as bad as you might think you are. Does that make sense?
Well, it does. It does. And for inventors, our best inventors are guys working in their own industry. The one gentleman who's going to be on today, he was a coach, so he invented a new thing for training young athletes and older athletes and handicapped athletes. It's a training device. Well, he's an expert. He's been doing it for 20 years. What he did realize, though, is that he is not a businessman. He's not a manufacturer. Yeah. He wants help. And so when we look at the best inventors are the ones that say, okay, I'm really good at this thing over here. I am not good at this. And so how do you make yourself look like the businessman? Well, yeah, there are ways to do that where you look bigger. You've got a bigger presence, and it's not about building a bigger website.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it kind of trickles over into my industry in the construction business. And I can kind of relate what you're saying, because in the construction business as a whole is that, I ran through a lot of years that you can be a great contractor and then be a horrible business person. Or you can be a great business person and a horrible contractor. Very seldom do you find a contractor that happens to be a good business person and a good contractor. These guys are very rare. And there's a guy down, I want to say down in the Big Easy, the Cajun contractor, Michael King. And I think over the 42 years, he has met that qualification. What you think, Rita?
I think I've met him before. And you're exactly right, because the good guys, the smart inventors, are the ones that say, okay, I've reached what I can do, and now I need somebody else that's going to come in and make me bigger and make me look like I know what I'm doing. And that's got then, that has my back. And for a lot of the inventors that we see that their product ends up getting lost, they lose it, is when their ego gets in the way. There's some things that we say is like, the secret in life is to not be too greedy. So when they say, well, I don't know where all that money is going to. It's like, called manufacturing and marketing, and you're lucky you get to go to the bank and make a deposit. So, buying the island in Tahiti probably isn't going to happen this year.
Yep.
So, really helping the inventors understand that, that they did what they did well, and that was to come up with this new product. And they need help doing the things that they don't know. And the first step into the bad zone is when they
Yeah.
think they can do everything themselves.
Well, and again, you're making some good points because I need to tell you, doing this show for over 30 years now, I've interviewed many CEOs of major Fortune 500 companies, as you know, the little CEO. But the point, they all have one thing in common. I'm talking about the successful CEOs. It's their team. It's the people they surround themselves with. And all these CEOs that over the years that have these ego problems or these problems that, I'm the CEO, I'm the boss, the buck stops here, blah, 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 and then all of a sudden, that, especially, in the deck industry, the composite deck industry, I can remember the composite deck industry. There must have been 15 companies that were in the composite deck company, 20 years ago. Well, now they only got 3. But the point is, and I'm thinking to myself after I interview these people is that, they're going to fail. I mean, this guy, you got to surround yourself with people that are a lot brighter than you are. You have to delegate your authority. You have to control, and also we talked about this. I know I'm rambling a lot bit, but you're bringing up a lot of memories here, a lot of past discussions. Everybody asked me one time, I think a couple of weeks ago, why do companies, real big companies, hire ex-military generals or ex-military high-ranking? Why? You ever notice that? They might not know anything about the product, but the point is they're great communicators. They're great their organizational skills, their planning skills.
Yeah.
You
I
know
know this.
what I'm
Oh, I
saying?
know. Yeah, I know that. I know this really good CEO of a company, and he says, I do like 10% at the beginning, then the team does 80% of the work, and then I finish it up with the last 10%.
Yeah.
And that's true. The good CEOs have a good team around them,
Yeah.
and that's the way the work gets done.
But I think, how can I, let's talk about the team that, which talks about this, putting that team together. There's 2 things that I think companies make a mistake. Not evaluating or being appreciative of their young talent and trying to get rid of their old talent. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
okay, you get so many years with the company and you're going to let, but this is experience walking right out that door.
Oh yeah.
And then the young talent of the young, college graduate that's looking for a job, man, I mean, they're ready to go. I mean, you remember my early years on the show, you made a comment along, talking, you've been knowing me for 20 years, but you said, man, I met your producer. That person's only 21 years old. I met you. I mean, my whole staff, you remember when you go to the trade show, and I don't think I had anybody over 25 years old. You remember that? You're like,
Oh yeah.
wow,
I
look
do.
at youth. Because they are ready to go. Nobody
Yep.
would give them a job. I would hire them in a minute. And all I had to do was just sit back and let these creative minds, these young minds do their thing. Right? Right?
Yep, absolutely. And it's wonderful to have, that talent, but the talent doesn't have the experience or the knowledge. And so it's a right hand, left hand. You've got to have both hands to get the
Yeah.
job done right.
Yeah.
And so we need their talent, they need our experience, our know-how, our impressions. Sometimes they don't realize it's not just a matter about words, but the innuendo in those
Yeah.
words. What do you read between the lines? And it's the experience then that brings that to the party. And so
Yeah.
when we look at an inventor that's got a really cool product, and it's like, oh, I can do all of this myself. It's like, no, no, that is like your first step into the big dark pit of losing everything. And the smart ones are the ones that say, I don't want to do all of the marketing, I have no idea how to manufacture this, please someone help me.
Well, Rita, I tell you, We're just got that 1 minute single. We get so old on radio that we got to get singles now. That thumbs up, but we have to pay some bills. But hey, we're gonna take a short break. We're gonna hear from our sponsors. Stay with us. This is the Invent America Show on Invent America Radio. I'm your host, the Cajun contractor Michael King, and the inventor lady herself, Miss Rita Compton. Don't go nowhere. We're going to have our first guest, first topic, as we're learning a little about manufacturing, distribution, and all our great inventors. This is the Cajun Man from the Bayou Land, the originator, not to duplicate it. Please don't accept no substitution. Me and Rita will be right back. Y'all come back now, yeah?
This segment of Invent America TV is brought to you by SearchQuest Patent Search. SearchQuest provides for a comprehensive patent search that searches the entire world and not just the U.S. Patent Office. Make sure that before you spend those big bucks having a patent written, you've done your due diligence by getting a comprehensive patent search. Use SearchQuestPatents.com for all your patent search needs. They scour the world for you.
Welcome back to the Invent America Show. I am the Cajun contractor Michael King, along with the inventor lady herself, Miss Rita Compton.
Much everyone for being with us for this introduction to Craig Bush. He is my inventor for this segment and brilliant gentleman who is a coach trainer and invented this product that can help anybody at any age, really from fifth grade, training them how to get in sync through high school and adult professionals and even to physical therapy. So, Craig, thanks to you so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America. What is RepUp?
Rita, thank you for having me on. So you told the listeners a little bit. I've been a professional basketball trainer the last 20 years and a speed and agility and strength trainer, a combination of everything. So 6 years ago, I was just looking into the future and thought for a second, why is nobody timing athletes with the actual athletic ball to start a stopwatch or the actual human being themselves? So forever, when you go into athletic performance training or a coach wants to time somebody, they have a stopwatch. So what I did was I set out to invent the world's first smart agility cone. And this agility cone can be triggered by either an athletic ball or the actual athlete's body releasing from it. So a stopwatch starts on release and then it stops on impact. And so what we did was we set out to get this thing patented. And I know we'll talk a little bit about patents and that whole process. But what I really wanted to do was create a system that was user-friendly, didn't take up a lot of space, didn't require heavy setup or multiple sensors or lasers. And then essentially what we wanted to do was eliminate latency issues or lag issues. So it's like the internet. We removed all the middle connection. So now you don't have to connect to a Bluetooth to use the product. You actually sit this device down and you turn the power on, and then you can immediately start tracking performance. So these nodes have built-in display modules, which actually show a stopwatch and a rep counter. So when an athlete releases a ball from the node or the chassis, it triggers a stopwatch. They can do movements, they can do reps, and every time they touch or set that athletic ball back on that chassis, it stops and gives instantaneous feedback. Doesn't have to go to the app. So we can essentially, what we can do is we can time 50 players at the same time and know immediately who the fastest was in that group. So that's a revolutionary product.
I think it sounds fascinating. I mean, on one hand, it sounds very simple, and on the other hand, it sounds rather complicated. And I think anything that takes out, the Bluetooth thing and the phone thing and all of that gadget thing is a good product.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And so it's twofold. We can actually have the app if they like, to track the performance, but it's just simple technology put into a simple node. And so what we also did with our patent is we want to set out and create an entire ecosystem of the start, stop, impact method. So we have smart nets and we have RFID chips that are put into balls, and we have multiple nodes that can track from one cone to the other. So it's a whole ecosystem of training. And right now we're getting a lot of buzz even throughout the world. When I was in Vegas for the Peak Sports Tech Conference, we just got phenomenal feedback. We really got the validation that we needed to get this product out in the market now.
So at what point, you said about 5 years you've been working on this. At what point did you know that your wow aha moment could actually be turned into a product?
Well, it's taken a while, should I say, for the world to catch up with the vision. Just this year, just going into 2026, anytime we put this in front of a trainer or an athlete or a parent, instantaneously they understand the concept and they go, wow, that's something that I would love to have. 5 years ago, you would set the device down and you could see how players and your coaches were just processing the information, and they really went like, how does this work? And well, once you just use a stopwatch. So we don't have those objectives anymore. The only objective is how long is it going to take to get it?
That's great. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, go off and pay some bills because, oh yeah, everybody's got to pay the bills, keep the lights going. And I'm going to be back and I'm going to talk to you about what's next, Craig. What are you working towards? So everyone, if you've got an inventor out there that's got a product and they'd like to be on the radio, please have them get in touch. Stay with us. We will be right back.
If you're an inventor or an inventor out there who would just like to be able to have a conversation with other inventors, join the Inventors Roundtable. It's free. The meetings are virtual, so you can be anywhere in America and talk to another inventor. And for a lot of folks out there, understanding the process, being able to ask questions, getting good service provider information is critical to the inventing process. So, got questions? Want to join? It's free. inventorsroundtable.org.
And thank you so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America, because America invents. Been doing it for centuries, and we will continue to do it for centuries more. This segment is brought to you by TrueView. It is the only accurate 3D real-time imaging blind spot mirror available. It's easy to use, easy to install, and it saves lives. Cargocatch.com is where you go to buy your TrueView mirror. I've got one, I use it, and holy cow, it is awesome. Very inexpensive way to, save your life or somebody else's. So my guest for this segment is Craig Bush. And Craig, we want to know what's next. I know that you went to a show a few weeks ago, had some wonderful, wonderful response. So what are you looking to do? Are you going to make these yourself?
So the industry feedback now has been phenomenal. And so is that literally this should be the new standard of timing athletes. And so looking ahead to the future is we see these nodes or these chassis of different designs for all sports to be used for any sort of timing. What was the original question again?
So I was asking you, what's next? All right, the idea that yes, you were the creator, but now you're looking at that next level of being able to monetize it.
Yeah, this is gonna require a massive infrastructure, and it's require huge teams of people, and it's also going to require a ton of financial responsibility. Everything that I don't have at this moment. So what we're doing right now is we're looking at different resources like Pronto Launch, and I'm sure that you're going to talk about them. I know that Mike's going to be on. So that's our next step is how can we get to this product to market? How can we build an incredible team? How can I continue to do the things that I love to do, create and train and get out there? But we're going to need great people on our team, like a CEO, and we're going to need people marketing this, and we're going to need people that are going to be able to manufacture and distribute. So the pipeline is trying to set that up next, and how can we get this out globally? And so those are things that we're talking about right now.
Well, I think some of the, sometimes inventors is, you tee it up and you've got something now that sometimes they start manufacturing and they get it out there. But when you've got big companies that come knocking at your door and saying they're interested, if you don't have at least someone that you can square your shoulders, that can square their shoulders against these big guys, they can really take advantage of you because you don't
Yeah,
know.
that's right. Yeah, at the trade show, we had those major, massive players in the market, and within 30 seconds, they asked me if I wanted to partner. So we've got the traction, but now how do we create this infrastructure to do things right? So me as the entrepreneur or the inventor do not get taken advantage of, and you're exactly right on that.
Yeah,
So
when one of those big basketball companies, and we're not going to say any names, comes
yeah,
up and says, "Let's partner," it's like, okay, that is a scary word when
sure,
you are an inventor and limited resources because their resources are not limited. And
that's
so when, I'll get somebody that says, well, I'll give you, 50% ownership for, a very small amount of money. And now you lose your voting rights, but you don't have enough money because inventors don't know business. And so when we look at, then Pronto Launch that does know business at multiple levels in multiple industries, and they can come in and say, okay, this is how we do this. And we protect you. All right. Pronto Launch looks out for you as the inventor. But now you've got somebody that can go toe to toe with those big companies in multiple arenas around the world.
That's right. So my encouragement right now is to all the inventors that are out there right now. This is a marathon. This is having to climb Mount Everest like 3 or 4 times before you even get the opportunity that we're having right now. And so the biggest thing is having that patience and just doing your due diligence every day, finding little victories. And then we haven't even mentioned the patenting process, which took us 3 to 4 years just to get it patented. So my encouragement is number one, don't quit. When you have that thing inside of you and you see ahead to the future and you just see it, is that you're going to have a lot of people around you and even close people are going to say this isn't going to happen. What are you doing? You're crazy. All these crazy things, but you need to always take the positive comments that come your way, and it might just be a word of encouragement. So those are the things that keep you going.
It's amazing how, I'll get inventors that say, well, everybody around me said it's a wonderful product. Tell me who those people were. Well, my mother, my sister, my wife, my kids, my neighbor. And it's like, okay, you need to stop listening to those people because they think you're wonderful. Anyway, let's go out to a parking lot at an Ace Hardware and see what people have to say. Let's go to a trade show and get really good market research done. And you did that 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago now.
Yes.
And people went crazy about it. Very good feedback.
Yes. And, a prototype is not an image on paper. And so a lot of these inventors, what they do is they want to like cut out all this middle process. And you have to be extremely patient. There's nobody that's just going to take a picture on a piece of paper and say, okay, let me go ahead and manufacture 5,000 of those for you. So be patient, trust the process, and just keep chipping away every day.
Yeah, it's funny because people say, well, I have renderings. And it's like, I'm sorry, you can do renderings of life on Mars. It doesn't mean that there really is life on Mars. I said, I can do a rendering of me hanging from this tree out here, but ain't going to happen. So, renderings don't work. And, we certainly know with, artificial intelligence, you can, do a rendering of a person, dancing around a ballroom, but doesn't mean that that person is real. So renderings can be really, really dangerous. And very misleading in what can do. When you've got a prototype, I've seen your prototype, by the way. When you've got a prototype that really functions, I've seen inventors that have one prototype to their name, but it works and it makes all the difference in the world at getting people to understand what you're trying to do.
Correct. And so the prototype is such an important thing to have. Find the right people to do it. Don't go to Walmart yourself and try to buy some items and put it together yourself. But if you can get the resources, it's very, very wise to find the right people or engineers that can make your vision come true. So
it's true, and it makes a difference. Exactly what you said. You need a prototyper that knows what they're doing, because I've had so many inventors that have said, oh yeah, I built a prototype, and they had built a prototype, but when it came to manufacturing, it could be not be made at a price point that the consumer would pay for it. And so a lot of times it takes a while for technology to catch up to that price point, and consumer is still God when it comes to what they'll pay for a product. So when we look then at, that manufacturing, what price point do we have to hit so that someone will pay for the product?
right, and validation is not always is correct. So a lot of inventors, especially like myself, where you think outside of the box and you try to see ahead into the future. If you're not around the right people, there's going to be plenty of people around you who are just going to say, I just don't see it. There's no way this is going to happen. You just have to X those people out in your mind and just say, okay, it is what it is, but I see it. So if you take those first few validations in the first year, this is really important, and they're telling you, I just don't see it, or it's not going to work. That's right. They might not see it at that moment. So sometimes you have to wait for the world to catch up on your dream.
That is for sure. Absolutely. So if you know any inventors out there who would love to be on the radio, have them get in touch. If you know any inventors out there that are stuck, all right, have them get in touch. We have got wonderful service providers and access to pronto launch. If you've got a product and you really want a good team around you, let me know. So we're going to take off, go and pay some bills, and we will be right back with our industry expert, Mike Ryan, CEO of Pronto Launch and collaborating expert, team leader, and all of those wonderful things. And he's going to fill us in on some of those really cool experiences for inventors. So stick with us, everybody. We'll be right back.
RepUp, the easiest way to hang your pictures. We all know how stressful picture hanging can get. RepUp comes with everything you need to level and hang pictures with no damage and no mess. Just peel, apply the adhesive to the back of the RepUp mount and press firmly. Remove the remaining adhesive. Use the level and press and hold for 3 to 5 seconds to attach the RepUp mount to your wall with a strong hold. The RepUp frame adapter is compatible with most frames on the market. Apply the adhesive strip to the adapter, stick, and your frame hangs easily on the wall mount. This lets you adjust your picture side to side for perfect placement every time. The possibilities are limitless, and it's easy on your walls. Picture hanging can be truly a one-person job. RepUp, the future of hanging is here.
Thank you so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America, because America invents. And my industry expert for this segment is Mike Ryan. He is CEO of Pronto Launch, and Pronto Launch helps those inventors look big and get big. Mike, thanks so much for being with me today. What is Pronto Launch?
Thank you for having me. Pronto Launch essentially works with inventors. We focus on really high quality game changer products, and we take it from either ground zero or companies that have already been in market for a little bit, scale it and take it to levels they normally can't get on their own.
So, I think it's fascinating. It's wonderful to be part of the team. So how does Pronto Launch make a company look bigger and better than it is? Because so many inventors, they're like Craig, they work in their industry, they work in their field. We get a hairdresser, we get, I think one of the ladies was a neonatal nurse. She's not a business person, but she created a product that's going to save lives. How does Pronto Launch make these inventors look bigger and better so that we can get the product out there?
Well, how that got started was essentially, unfortunately, 97% of products that came in existence, many of them were high quality products that could have made a change for a lot of people. Unfortunately, it didn't. And the common denominator Michael King mentioned earlier in a previous segment was that you could have the world's greatest product. You could have the world's greatest, it could change whatever. But if you don't have the context, if you don't have that credibility, if you don't have that team behind you, that knowledge, that power to be able to compete against the big boys, it's next to impossible to get off to the start. Unfortunately, there are thousands and thousands of products that should have made it. If they had the right team, the right infrastructure, they could have made it, but they didn't.
And the team is the big thing, because it's like, you don't do everything for Pronto Launch. You've got a team behind you for Pronto Launch that goes out and says, okay, we need this. Oh, I know that. Okay, somebody's got to do this. Oh, I can do that. And the team then, everybody on the team supports everybody on the team. It's amazing how that works.
Yeah, there's a company we're working with right now. They've been in business for a couple of years now. They just right now, the latest round, they got a $15 million evaluation. Quickly realized, I don't have the infrastructure. I don't have the team. Within a year or two, if he doesn't have the proper team or so forth, he's going to go out of business. They're going to go out of business. So they're partnering with Pronto Launch. They want to utilize our contacts, our resources, our know-how. Part of it is it's multiple. It's just giving them the guidance. We have their back. We're representing them. It's like going into an agreement. No one's going to go to sign an agreement with somebody without a contract. Nobody should go into work with these other companies unless you have the information that you need to be able to compete against them. There's a lot of these big companies. If they don't know that you have the proper infrastructure, they're gonna clean their clock all day.
I know it's been crazy, and one of the things that Michael was talking about is that you'll have young people on the team that'll be doing and learning. But if your team is all guys in sneakers and cutoffs, and you might have a team there, but it doesn't mean that they've got any expertise in business. And while business changes over the decades, holy cow, when you look at, the Pronto Launch team and collectively, you've got 350 years of experience. And you put together a team of, kids right out of college and you've got 5 years of experience, big difference.
I always share with people the best compliment someone could say about you, or you can give confidence to other people. I could be gone for 3 or 4 weeks and my company still survives. It's the team that makes us look good. I know I live in the 10-80-10 rule. 10% of it starts with the infrastructure. The other 80%, my team runs it. I'm here and there to help them out, provide them guidance as needed. As you know, and many people know, communication is something that's a top priority. And then the last 10% is putting things over the finish line.
Well, and it's funny because and I'm sure that Craig will appreciate this. I certainly do. Is like when I had said, well, I've got a call with these guys at 8:00 tonight, Sunday night, 8:00 call, business first. My husband always says, he goes, nope, business first. Well, when you're an entrepreneur, you're an independent inventor, you've got a team like Pronto Launch that really is looking out for all of this. Business is 24/7. Because we could be talking with somebody, around the world. Well, they've got different hours than we do. And business really does run 24/7.
It's really truly a team effort, not only just from Pronto Launch and its immediate team members, it's also with the inventors that are part of it. Some inventors, unfortunately, ego is the enemy. They want to be involved. They know 100% of nothing, quite frankly. And it gets to the point where those people, we shake our hands and we move on. They have to let us help them. I bring on high quality industry leaders, let them do their job. I'm here to support them. We have a very strong infrastructure in place. And it doesn't matter. The advantage of working with Pronto Launch is that every Fortune 500 company has a very powerful advisory board. They all do. Companies that are starting, almost nobody has an advisory board. So essentially what Pronto Launch is that you're getting that from day one. The day you sign with Pronto Launch, you got immediately infrastructure that 99% of companies don't have.
That's absolutely true. And so many of the inventors that we've talked to over the years, when they're looking at, the business side of things, the marketing side of things, it just eats them alive. And, the only time they finally get to go to the bank and make a deposit instead of a withdrawal is after they've brought in somebody that can help them understand business, run the business, do the marketing and the heavy lifting, and have their back.
Yes.
So
it is. Everybody has to get on the same page, and it can be done. And that's what our goal is, to work with them and get it going for them.
So absolutely. Thank you so much for being with me today. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We will be back next week with more stories on getting products from mind to market. We will have new inventors and industry experts. So join us and have a wonderful week.